With just over a month away, Microsoft's XO18 conference will be happening, and many people are wondering what they will show off. A lot think they'll be announcing some newly acquired devs, and I think we'll definitely see at least one acquisition announced. But we know from how Microsoft's been talking the past couple of months that they are definitely interested in buying multiple game studios. Hey everyone, it's Invader here, and I want to give my thoughts on as to which studios could possibly be bought by Microsoft, studios that may seem like a good or interesting fit into Microsoft Game Studios' plans. Now, just keep in mind that there are a few factors when trying to figure out which studios could possibly interest them, and they include factors, well, some Microsoft had even mentioned. But here we go. 1. Studio size. 2. Studio geographic location. I mean, talent pool, obviously having other studios nearby would make it easier to draw upon from, various talent pools of other studios, correct? And 3. Types of games that they put out. Of course, certain devs are known for certain game genres or styles, and while they can branch out to do other types of games, some genres are pillars to certain studios and what give them such acclaims. And I will start this off with Obsidian Entertainment. So I've been saying for a while, even before the rumors of a possible acquisition of Obsidian started, that they would be a great pick for Microsoft. First off, Obsidian have stated that their relationship is a lot better now with Microsoft and that they're interested in being purchased. Just, they said openly. And that's key right there. And then you have to look at the types of games they make. And they would definitely fill a gap in Microsoft's library and studios for specifically RPGs, since that's what they basically specialize in. They've done Alpha Protocol, Fallout New Vegas, Star Wars Knights of the Old Republic, South Park The Stick of Truth, and most recently the acclaimed Pillars of Eternity. So they definitely have a pedigree to them. Not only that, but they're located in Irvine, California, and are located near a bunch of big developers to draw talent from, such as Blizzard, Ready at Dawn, to name a few. Lately, there's been a lot of rumors going on about the studio and a possible purchase, and honestly, I really do believe these rumors to be accurate, and it just seems like a high likelihood of an acquisition, considering now, even today, there was news from some outlets about a possible purchase. So we'll see what happens there. I have a feeling that there is a purchase, and it's going to be announced at the Microsoft XO18 event in November. Next up is Studio MDHR. Another studio I think Microsoft would, well, they'd be high on their list, is this studio. Even though it's small, there's a lot of talent there, as is evident from the release of Cuphead. They have a great relationship with Microsoft, and Cuphead did extremely well in their relationship. It sold over 3 million copies at this point. That's pretty amazing. Plus, they have that DLC coming along, which I'm sure will do very well for them come next year. Now, Cuphead, to me, it's just a very appealing property to have. It has a unique look to it, and it's just definitely appealing, and you can do lots of stuff with that brand. Merchandising is huge, not to mention whatever offshoots you can think of. Now, while some devs, they do work abroad, the main base of the studio seems to be near Toronto, which can draw upon talents from the likes of Ubisoft, Blue Isle, Capybara, just to name a few. And I just think that this would be a very attractive small studio to grab. Another studio that I think would be a great addition to Microsoft Studios is one out of Madrid, Spain, Tequila Works. They've worked with Microsoft for promoting Deadlight originally during the 2012 Xbox 360 era, and they have a really good relationship with Microsoft. They've made titles like Rhyme and The Sexy Brutale recently, and they were pretty well received and really positive reviewed. I believe that with more of a financial backing that they could do some really cool things. They definitely have a knack and creativity to tell some interesting stories, and I would just like to see what they could do with, just more backing behind them, yeah. Now, the next developer on the docket is Gunfire Games. This studio has a lot of action game experience with X-Visual Games and Crytek USA developers. The studio has worked on notable titles including Darksiders Remastered and the nearly released Darksiders 3. They've done some VR games and are currently working on a survival action shooter called Remnant from the Ashes. I also think that their location is very important as they're located in Austin, Texas, which has multiple notable studios in the area, including Retro Studios, Armature, Certain Affinity, and Twisted Pixel, to name a few. There's a very large talent pool there to draw upon, and you really shouldn't ignore that large developer base because that's definitely important to have. So the next studio I think would be a pretty huge pickup would be Hazelight Studio in Sweden. It's headed by Joseph Fares, who created Brothers: A Tale of Two Sons with Starbreeze before developing A Way Out, with Hazelight most recently making. He's also the same guy that shouted "fuck the Oscars" on the Game Awards last year, so obviously he's a pretty passionate fella. Joseph Fares has, well, he stated before that he has a lot of praise for Xbox head Phil Spencer, saying that he's super passionate about the games and just the division as a whole. Not only that, but Hazelight Studio nearly signed with Microsoft for A Way Out, and they were very close at one point before EA just kind of snuck in. Another thing of note is that Hazelight is located near Mojang Studios, as well as other devs like Avalanche, Fat Shark, and Overkill, to name a few. So there's a big pool of talent in Stockholm, and that's important because then you could possibly expand and recruit a lot of different developers for the studio. So you have to take that into account. I think this studio is really up and coming. You look at titles such as A Way Out, and it just screams Xbox Game Pass for its style, and I believe that they'd be a great fit both for Fares' vision and Xboxes as a whole. For this next studio, I know I'm gonna get a bit of flack for it, but it's Hello Games. Obviously, they've had a rough couple of years since the original release of No Man's Sky on PlayStation 4. Lots of criticism for a broken game and missing components, and rightly so. However, after a couple of years and releasing on other platforms like Xbox One, they've been slowly changing people's perception. They could have just shipped No Man's Sky and not do a thing and just begin work on their next project. But they took the time to invest and fix it and make the content, and I think at least you have to appreciate their efforts there and respect it a bit. Now, saying that, I think given the financial backing and full support of a big publisher, they could create something really interesting. Because No Man's Sky, well, it had an interesting premise when all is said and done. And I know Xbox players have been enjoying the game since it released in July, I believe it was. The studio is located in Guildford, England, and it can draw upon talented teams such as Supermassive Games, Criterion, Creative Assembly, and other smaller developers. I just think that they would be an interesting team to have in Xbox's studio stable. Next, located in Santa Monica, California, I believe Giant Sparrow would be a worthwhile investment. They made the highly acclaimed, narrative-driven What Remains of Edith Finch, as well as the positively reviewed The Unfinished Swan. This studio has already struck high praise with its first two games, more so Edith Finch though, and I think that this would be the kind of team that you would want to invest in. Give them a bit of time and you could have a wonderful story, no doubt. And being located in Santa Monica, there's already a huge talent pool of game studios to recruit from. From Sony Santa Monica, Ready at Dawn, to the likes of Activision and other big studios. And I just think that this is a studio with a lot of promise. And already they are showing that they can make pretty good games with a small team and smaller budgets. Give them some more backing and you could have something great, in my opinion. Another studio I think would make an interesting purchase would be Blue Isle Studio. They're a small studio that have produced some, well, pretty interesting titles for different genres, starting with Slenderman: The Arrival, a very well-known horror game. Then there's the first-person adventure game Valley that's gotten some pretty positive reviews for its atmosphere, world, and just overall storyline. And apparently the soundtrack is pretty good too, like the ambiance and all that. Currently, they're working on Citadel Forged with Fire. That's a massive online RPG. That reminds me very much of Elder Scrolls Online, and that's a good thing. They're located in downtown Toronto and can have access to all kinds of developers, as earlier stated, such as Ubisoft to even Rockstar North Games. I think this developer shows a lot of promise and could be a very good pickup. They definitely have a cool vision for the games that they've produced. And next, you know what? I'm going to name off another Toronto developer by the name of Capybara Games. It's a developer that has a lot of favorably reviewed and liked games from Super Time Force, Super Brothers, Might and Magic, Clash of Heroes, and so on. They're very friendly with Microsoft. Both believed in the game below since its announcement back in 2013 at the initial Xbox One reveal event. Wow, that goes back, wow, a long time ago. But you know what? I could definitely see Below getting shown off at the Microsoft November XO18 event with a release date and afterwards announcing that the studio is getting acquired. And as I've stated before, there's a huge talent pool in Toronto, enough said there, but I could definitely just see them getting acquired. There would be a good purchase. They have a lot of creativity. There's a lot of talent. And they would just make a pretty good Game Pass addition, in my opinion. Recently, with the closings of Capcom Vancouver and Telltale Games, I've heard others make suggestions that Microsoft should purchase these developers. And you know, it's a shame people had to lose their jobs, and I wish all those that were affected the best of luck in finding new positions elsewhere. But honestly, it just wouldn't make much sense for Microsoft to buy studios that are in dire financial straits or just producing mediocre games. Capcom Vancouver's games have been on a gradual downward slide in quality, and Telltale have had numerous issues from growing too fast, relying on others' intellectual properties, not developing their own properties, and just having terrible, toxic social media and hiring practices. It just wouldn't make much sense to spend money on failing developers. So what are your thoughts on this? What devs do you think Microsoft will go after next? Do you think any of the ones that I listed will be bought? Definitely let me know in the comments down below. Again, guys, thanks for watching, everyone, as it's greatly appreciated on my part. Don't forget to hit that like button, subscribe, and hit the bell for future notifications. Invader, out.